Hi, I'm Paul. This is Andrew, my business partner. We're here in Maple Heights, Ohio. We just bought this house here the other day on Monday, and we're about ready to rehab it. We bought it for $8,000, and Andrew, why don't you tell the story about how we got it?
Yeah, so sometimes you hunt homes out. You can find them on the MLS, you can find them online, get them through other people. This was one that maybe because we're in the business, so we got a phone call and one thing led to another. It was someone who needed to get out. He was renting this house previously. He was renting this house for about $700 a month. Very under rented for the area. It's something that we were able to strike a good price on. We ended up purchasing it for, like Paul said, about $8,000.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna rehab this house top to bottom. We're gonna rent it out. We're gonna put about $35,000 into it. It's gonna get brand new kitchen, brand new bathrooms, a new roof, new landscaping. Everything's gonna be done. We're gonna get about $1,100 in rent versus the previous owner who got $700 in rent. So it's gonna turn out to be a great investment. We're gonna be into it for under $45,000, collecting $1,100 in rent. So why don't we go check it out? Jesus.
Welcome to the house.
Oh, this is awful. This is terrible. It smells like death in here. All right, so we're gonna keep this room probably pretty much the same, the walls and everything.
Well, especially for a rental, if we were flipping it, I might start looking into opening up some walls a little bit more, but on a rental, if I can maintain the same layout and still get that effective rent, there's no point in spending the money.
That's true, and this is a really spacious living room anyhow, so it's not like it's not like when you make it look bigger, it's already spacious.
Paul, if you want to back up a sec. Typically speaking, I always try to come in and I look for hardwood flooring underneath. Unfortunately here, I don't have it. So on a rental, I always like to put in a luxury vinyl plank or something that I can get a little bit more resistance out of. Tenants tend to wear through carpet and I'm always replacing it. So anytime I can avoid putting carpet into a house, I always try to avoid it.
You know, the carpet's usually cheaper, but for a little bit more money, I mean, what's the vinyl plank for? I mean, you know, $225 installed?
On the high side. The lowest end you can get for less than $1 a square foot.
Yeah, so instead of replacing the carpet every time a tenant does this, we just do the vinyl plank floor and we're gonna have it for a long time. All right, so this is the kitchen. If you actually look at these cabinets, they're actually not in terrible condition, but one of the things that would differentiate us from other landlords is we're still gonna gut this thing because the cabinets could still be way better. I mean, obviously a regular landlord would probably keep this, get lower rent and be fine with it. For us, we're still gonna remove it all, put everything new. I mean, even the stove actually doesn't look terrible.
But you also can see a lot of these era homes have the old headers up there.
Yeah.
And in the kitchens, most of the time we take the header out to give a little more space.
That's true.
You can also get a little bit larger cabinet in there. It has a better feel.
I mean, this backsplash is pretty sexy, but this is gonna go too. I imagine we'll put some sort of backsplash on here, but you know, the kitchen is what it is. It's a rental. We're not gonna be doing expansion again. If we were flipping it, it might be a little bit different, but this is a rental. Pretty standard. We're just gonna replace the cabinets, put granite countertop in, put a nice faucet with a sink, and make this thing all pretty. Stainless steel appliances, things like that.
And again, just getting a little bit more from wear and tear standpoint, I put ceramic tile on the floor.
Oh yeah, good call. So here's the bathroom. Obviously, whenever we're doing a house, the kitchen and bathroom is the most important aspects. The bathroom's kind of small, but again, it's a rental, so we're okay with it. We're gonna do a full gut rehab. We're gonna take out all the flooring, take out the vanities, toilet, maybe not the tub. Are we gonna take the tub out? What do we do with the tub?
Leave the tub. We can glaze it.
Yeah, we're just gonna reglaze it, bring somebody in. Raise that ceiling probably a little bit and do everything here. It's gonna be a beautiful bathroom with all of our products in here. Yeah, what are we gonna spend on this thing, Andrew?
Bathroom would be about $2,250.
Oh, okay, so kitchen and bathroom together, a little under $7,000.
Correct.
Awesome. All right, so we're here in one of the bedrooms. It's the smallest bedroom we have here. I mean, I don't even know how big this thing is, 120 square feet. But this is good for a kid. It's gonna be perfect. This is gonna be very simple. We do have the hardwood floors here though. Are you sure we don't have the hardwood floors elsewhere?
Yeah, the hardwood floors are only in the 3 bedrooms. It's not in the hallway or in the living room. No. But you can easily refinish these floors and put a good clean base on it, and the room will
So we're gonna keep these floors?
Keep the floors.
All right, perfect. That's awesome. All right, this will be a good kids' room for the school, all that stuff.
Yeah, school's nearby, a couple hundred yards. It's nice and walkable.
If it's a couple hundred yards, why are you here? Here we're in the master bedroom. It's the biggest room. It's kind of weird though. We have like a second entrance. We have 2 entrances here. One goes to the kitchen and basement. So I assume we can close this off then.
Yeah, right now they're going to call this a pass-through room. So by sealing that off, it's definitely going to feel like more of a bedroom, especially if it's going to be the master bedroom.
Yeah, I don't think you can even have a bedroom counted if it's passed through, can you?
As long as it's not a forced pass-through.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
But the one nice thing that we looked at on the house a little bit is you'll notice all the windows.
Oh yeah, they are.
Double pane. They're not brand new, but they're at least recent, which is nice. That's every single window, you know, with labor and install and buy, it's about $200 a window. Unless you're on a special size, they can run a little bit more.
All right, great. So this will make for a good room. Same thing, refinish the hardwood floor. I mean, in these bedrooms, we're not gonna put more than, you know, $500, $600, right?
No, paint, refinish the floor, put a new light in.
Yeah, it'll change it all. Good.
Oh, you guys are gonna go for it.
All right, we're here in the basement. This is one of the most important parts about the house to look at because we want to come down here and see, is there any water issues? Is the foundation okay? If you look at these walls, the foundation's in great shape. We don't even see cracks through the cinder block or anything like that. Those are the biggest things that cause us to not buy a house. We don't care about all the other stuff. The other stuff can be easily redone. It's all cosmetic. This is the stuff we look at and say, hey, if there's major foundation issues, you're ripping out walls, it's a huge cost you don't want to get involved with. So we came down here, and even though it smells awful, it's still in great condition. Cosmetic, from a structural standpoint, cosmetic is always to do.
And again, like Paul was saying, you don't want to get involved in it, especially when we were talking about an all-in budget of what, about just under $45,000, right?
Yeah.
Involved in a $10,000, $15,000 excavation project on a wall, not worth it. It kills the deal.
Absolutely.
But looking at some other things, if you're looking at age of the furnace, if you're looking at the hot water tank, those are things that you need to bring into budget immediately. We'll go take a look at the electric panel in a little bit, but again, those are items that immediately you're going to come in and say, you know, this is something that's going to cost me $1,500. How's the air conditioning? How's the furnace? Do I need to replace the entire water tank, or is that something that I can just have a plumber come in and reconnect?
But to your point that, you know, when we're buying a house for $8,000, we're probably replacing everything anyhow. So it's like, you know, you come in here and say, hey, like the windows upstairs. The windows were great because we don't need to replace them.
It's a bonus.
Yeah, it's a bonus. I mean, we're still factoring in replacement on all of everything we do. It's just that when you come in here and go, oh, you know, the furnace actually works. The furnace guy comes in here and says, hey, you just need to replace a few parts. You saved $2,000 or $3,000. Windows, we saved $2,000 or $3,000 on that one. Great. But other than that, we're pretty much planning everything top to bottom.
All right, we're in the, what I'll call the finished side of the basement right now. They've got the old wood paneling on here. It's nice that it's wide open. You got about 500 square feet in the basement. You have an older tile on the floor and outdated walls. We're gonna take everything off the wall so we can make sure that there's nothing hiding behind it. If it's good, we can fur it out, put some drywall, and honestly, we put some carpet squares here. We get carpet squares. It makes the basement feel a little bit more livable, feels like it brings in the rest of the home, and it helps us get that $1,100 rent and separate us from the rest of the market in the area.
What are we doing about these this drop ceiling?
I think you should get rid of it.
Oh, I actually hit something. Okay, so we're in the backyard here. It's obviously looks way worse than it actually is. And a lot of times when you do a real estate deal, these kind of ugly, you can use this to your advantage in order to get a better price. But all this is cosmetic. We're just gonna have guys come in here, demo this, throw everything that, okay, we're gonna have guys come out here and demo this. It's just all a bunch of clutter. It's nothing to be afraid of. There's no structural anything here. I mean, even the garage though, the garage looks pretty decent. What are we doing in the garage?
So on the garage, we're gonna redo the roof, even though the roof isn't that bad.
Yeah.
The gutters need re-pitched on it. We'll redo a little bit of the garage floor, but most importantly, it needs a new door and a new motor in there.
Basic stuff. I mean, this is not complicated. Nothing we've seen in this house has been bad at all. It's just a lot of cosmetic looking bad. And a lot of times it's great for you as an investor because you're gonna look at it and say, people are gonna look at it and say, oh, this is awful. And you have to look past you have to look past everything and say, okay, what's fundamentally here? What am I gonna make it? And that's what really matters.
Landscaping can do a lot.
Oh yeah, it's gonna change the whole look. I mean, you'll see later on, as we're gonna do a middle video and an ending video, you're gonna see the beginning and end, and you're gonna say this is not the same property. It's just, it's basic things that we're not gonna be putting, all our numbers we show you are the right numbers, and you're gonna sit there and say, oh my God, this thing looks night and day difference. So we just went through the house, we're all done. One of the things that we always get frustrated with when we watch HGTV and Bravo is they have very unrealistic costs for for all the housework. We'll see granite countertops for $10 or $15 a square foot. That doesn't exist. You'll have demo of a house, including dumpster, for $300. Not possible. All of our numbers are real. You'll have to spend some time searching for good contractors who are willing to do it for the right price, but at the same point, every number we've told you so far is a real number. We're gonna be this house for no more than $43,000 to $45,000, all said and done. And when you see the progress videos and see the very end, you're gonna love it. It's gonna look beautiful, and that's what we really like to focus on.
Now, when you're talking about real numbers, there's other things that come in that involve things like with the city that we're working in here.
Right.
We've got to get permits for a lot of things that we're working on. The other thing is this city in particular, every city has their own variations on what they have for their own ordinances and laws. This city, for example, has something called a point of sale. When someone sells a house, the city comes in and walks the entire house and puts together a list of everything they think needs repaired.
Of course.
And with that, they charge a certain amount that, as buyers, that we have to escrow actually with the city. So if we have to put, let's say, $20,000 with the city, that's completely separate of the budget. That actually sits there until the house is done. The city can walk back through and they'll release that money. So when we talk about realistic numbers, that's just another thing that we have to put money aside for when we're doing the overall budget, and it's just a cost of capital thing. We do get the money back in the end, but it costs money to have the escrow sitting there with the city.
Yeah, it's great for investors like us because it'll weed out all the crappy investors. It's good for the investors who have money who want to do a good job. And the great part is, it shows how much work we do to the house. The city's escrow is always way lower than our budget, not because it costs us more money to do it than the city would. The city doesn't require as much. They're not requiring a gut rehab kitchen. They're requiring the house to get to a livable level. So it's great for investors like us because it weeds out all the crappy investors who are trying to do it on the cheap, and we can get properties like this at good prices.
I'll tell you what, we talked about, this is a house that we talked about. There's a house down the street that's selling for $100,000 right now. So based on where we're at, our budget, we could put it on the market and try to sell it. What's your thoughts on why do you want to rent this one?
I like rentals. I mean, for our flips, we want to do the flips that we can really go in and, you know, do a wow in there. And I'm not saying this is gonna be a wow, it's gonna be a great looking house, but this market is a great rental market. I love the recurring income every single month, getting that check in, $1,100 a month. I mean, if we refinance the house and get our equity out, we'll be able to make essentially infinite returns on it. So, you know, am I opposed to selling it? No, of course not, if somebody wants to buy it, but we already have so many houses in the city anyhow. For us to take this as a rental, it's not gonna cost us too much time or extra money.
Agree.
So in the end, you know, everyone's trying to look for these sexy markets to be in. We find great markets that have great rental opportunity, great flipping opportunity, buy the house at the right price, put the right rehab into it, and you're not going to go wrong. As long as, at the end of the day, you have to look at your numbers and figure out where you need to be. And as long as the numbers work, you're not going to 20 years. We could have this house for 20 years, and we're going to do great for 20 years based on what we bought it for and what we rehabbed it for, right?
Agreed. We built in a lot of margin of error. So everything we were looking at the house, we still have buffer on the backside, and I don't feel at all. Let's say there's something in this house that we walked through and we did all these numbers. If there's something that's sitting there that costs us another $2,000-3,000, are you worried about our investment?
Zero. Not worried at all.
That's the best part.
Yep. We can go to $50,000 investment. We have set $7,000 of buffer on a $35,000 budget. That's an extra 20% of buffer on top of the other buffer we already have. We're great. This will be a great investment.
I'm very excited about the house.
Absolutely. So for someone like you who's trying to get out there and invest, everybody always thinks you have to go get these super sexy houses, go to these major work, do gut rehabs, rework walls. You don't need to. At the end of the day, what's sexy is making money, and we're gonna make great money here, and that's what you should be focused on. You need to focus on learning how to find these kind of deals, learning how to rehab them the right way. When I say the right way, less is more sometimes, but here we can go do a little bit more because we bought the house right. So we're not going to put in, you know, marble floor, things like that. We're going to be able to do the house the right way to be able to get a great renter and be able to make a great return. And that's what your focus should be. Don't worry about the asset you're buying. Worry about the returns and find the assets that fit those returns.
I know there's a lot of people that worry in different markets. There's people that come in and there's different levels where in summer months and then in times when real estate values are starting to increase, there's a lot of people that start getting involved in rental properties and flips because it seems glamorous and sexy and it seems like a very approachable thing to do, which I'm not saying it's not, but at the same point, there's so many opportunities. The biggest thing is just buying the house right.
Yep.
You know, values are going up because people aren't actually valuing everything that needs done to a house. and they get caught up in the idea of I can go in and put paint and carpet and be done and move on.
Absolutely.
And when they do have those larger expenses that creep up over time, they're in a negative equity position, and it's not where you want to be going into these homes. So there's this is one street in one suburb of one city, and I can see 100 homes looking left and right here. So there's a lot of opportunity across the entire across every city.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, and you heard how we found it. We didn't find this house from seeing on the market. We found this house because people knew that we were in this area, made a couple phone calls. Somebody called us and said, hey, we have this house, somebody needs to get out of it. Are you guys interested? That's what you have to do. You have to sit there and look for more unique ways. This has to be on the market. I mean, $8,000, what would it have gone for? 20 to 30 all day, probably?
Yeah, I'd say so,
But we were able to, yeah, we were able to move fast, and we were able to get the house at $8,000. Anybody watching here right now can save up $8,000 to buy a house like this. I mean, it's not an insurmountable task. It's just, you don't need millions of dollars in order to get ready, get started in real estate and do well. Thanks very much for watching. We're excited to show you the journey we're taking on this project and other projects. Obviously, make sure you keep in touch, watch all our videos on this project, other projects we're working on, and other ways we're gonna teach you how to make a better income off real estate.